Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the most valuable cards from Stellar Crown. The other day, before the set was actually out, I showed you a video where we looked at the best cards to pull. And when we do that video, that is a case of, look, the set isn't out yet. I can't tell you what the most valuable cards are, we don't know. But we can look at the Japanese set, which for instance here was Stellar Miracle. And we can look at the hype that's been going around, what people are talking about online, etc. And we can make a pretty good estimation of the cards people are going to want without attaching any actual values to them, because we can't do that because the set isn't actually out yet. Well, great news! Now the set is actually out, so we can talk about the top 10 most expensive cards in the set. And I want to start off with number 11, regular Terrapagos EX, which is coming in at about a $12 card. Now, Terrapagos is a hyped card from the new set. It's got a ridiculous attack that does 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. Combine it with Area 01 Depth to do 240 for 2 energy. It's clearly awesome. But we've seen the results over in Japan, and it's a decent deck, but it is not a great game-changing deck. That is clear at this point. But the hype is there, ladies and gentlemen. This is higher than Gold Bravery Charm, which would be number 12 if we went that far into the list. It's higher than any full art Pokemon or any full art supporter card in the set. It's a regular EX. It doesn't quite make the top 10, but it gets very, 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 very close. And I find that very, very, very interesting. You have been warned. In at real number 10, we've got ourselves a Gold Area 0 Underdepths. And this is a gold card, so the pull rates are kind of low. But it is a $21 card. And the reason is, not only is it a gold card, but it is absurdly playable. I put this as my number 1 card in the set when I did my top 10. And I know some people are going to disagree and put Noctowl, and that's fine. But this is great with Terrapagos, but there's also a million other Pokemon out there like Palkia, for instance. Pokemon that do damage based on a number of bench Pokemon. And Palkia is just an example. There's a bunch of others I've shown you over the last few weeks on this channel. And basically, Area 0 Underdepths makes all of them better. Very playable card. Gold version makes sense. Coming in at number 9 at $23, we've got ourselves the Gold Terrapagos EX. So what we got here is the great card I told you about a minute ago, but the gold version. Remember, the full art has been taken out of the set to be used as a promo. The full art is not going to be on this list. It would be on this list. I do feel like it would be in at number like 8, 9, or 10 if it was out there, but it's not. But because it's not in the set. But either way, we got the gold version. It's not the best version. The best version is higher up on this list. But make no mistake about it, Terrapagos, it's a good card. I'm not sure if it's great, but it's good. It's hyped. And the gold version is the coolest version of it. You add all of that together, ladies and gentlemen, and we end up with a card which a lot of people are going to like, which earns its place in at number 9. In at number 8, we've got Dashburn EX, the Special Illustration Rare, coming in at about $25. You'll notice, like I showed you a day or two ago, the graphs generally are pointing down here. The prices are falling, but that's not relevant for this particular video. All we're worried about is how much they actually are right now and what the ordering of them is. So Dashburn, I mean, look, the artwork here is stunning. I think this is a phenomenal card artistically. I think it's wonderful. I think playability-wise, I mean, look, being able to heal all of your evolution Pokemon is cool. But the reality is, it's kind of a one-shot deal when you evolve into it. And then it just kind of sits on your bench not being great. So, playability-wise, I'm not seeing it in many lists over in Japan. I don't think it's a phenomenal card, but I think the artwork is wonderful, and that's why it gets on this list. Although, once again, I need to ask the question, is Dashburn enjoying the baked treats, or is Dashburn one of the baked treats? In at number 7, we've got the special illustration rare of Briar, coming in at about $27. And this one absolutely should be on the top 10. This one makes sense to me. Because firstly, it's a special illustration rare, the pull rates are low, that makes sense. But also, it's a very playable card. It really is as simple as that. You can only play it if your opponent's got exactly 2 prize cards remaining, but then if you do, you get to take an extra prize when you take a KO. With a Terra Pokemon. Any Terra deck that can fit a copy of this in is going to play it, especially if you can search it out easily enough, which a lot of decks can nowadays. This is going to be a phenomenal card, and that's kind of awesome. Coming in at number 6, we've got Bulbasaur. And there's something kind of calming about Bulbasaur, and we're going to see in a minute Squirtle, being on this list. Because I've told you guys time and again, every set, not so much in Japan, but in the West, the community as a whole gets together and makes random illustration rares way more expensive than they should be in a way that makes no sense. Like, back in Shrouded Fable, for instance, it was like Persian. Why? Why Persian? That's weird. Persian ain't that good, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't make a huge amount of sense. At least here we've got an illustration rare of a first partner Pokemon. It's Bulbasaur. Remember, it was a promo in Japan, so we can't really do a fair comparison with how expensive it should be. But it's Bulbasaur, and the artwork here is absolutely phenomenal. So okay, fine, you win. In at number 6, we've got the special illustration rare of Galvantula, coming in at about $32. And Galvantula here, I mean, look, it's got an attack which can be streamed, Fulgurite, and it does 180 and stops your opponent playing item cards. There is a very good chance that it's not enough damage and it's just going to get KO'd by big one-hit KO decks anyway, but this has a chance to be a very, very good card. It's got a chance to be a top deck, and we've got the special illustration rare version of it. So that's your explanation here for how this makes it up into the top 5. In at number 4, we've got Hydrapple, the special illustration rare. And look, the special illustration rares have low pull rates. I showed you the other day. They're like 1 in 2.5 boxes. And the Hydrapple is a playable card. It's also got phenomenal T0 artwork. So this is one of my most wanted cards from the set. I adore this. I love it. But what we've got here is an ability that once during your turn lets you attach an extra energy and then heal 30 from the Pokemon you attach to. Plus you've then got 2 energy, 30 damage, plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And we end up here with a playable card with phenomenal artwork. And who doesn't love Hydrapple? There's your explanation. In at number 3, we've got the illustration rare of Squirtle, coming in at $42. And this would usually be the part where I would tell you that $42 for an illustration rare is absurd, and this illustration rare being higher than a bunch of special illustration rares is absurd, but I kind of get it. I mean, look, Squirtle, if you're going to be playing Pokemon Red and Blue, Squirtle is the correct answer for which starter you should choose, which first partner Pokemon you should go with. And it's a phenomenal artwork for what was a Japanese promo for a card which is going to be incredibly sought after. And you put it all together and you go, you know what? Yeah, fine. Although, I just need to tell you, this Squirtle and this Charmander, they were in a pre-constructed deck that was like $40 over in Japan. So being able to get both of them with the Charmander, all 3 of the first partner Pokemon, plus a bunch of other stuff, yeah, that was a good deal. In at number 2, we've got the special illustration rare of Lacey, which has, as I showed you the other day, already crashed down to a $50 card. And Lacey is cool, but at the risk of sounding mean, Lacey is not special. Lacey is a special illustration rare supporter. It is a cool special illustration rare supporter. It's going to be a top 5 card in the set. I honestly could see Squirtle and Bulbasaur jumping over this. I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying I could see it happening. But Lacey isn't exactly the most popular Pokemon character along the lines of like Iono and Cynthia. This isn't a redonkulously playable card. It's a nice draw supporter. It's It's a shuffle draw 4, but if your opponent's got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, it's a shuffle draw 8, but then it's late in the game and you might want to play some disruption anyway. Point is, very cool card, love the artwork, but this isn't special in a way some of the other supporter cards have been. Looking at you, I know. So it's cool and it's $50 and it's number 2, but this was never going to end up being like a $150 card. That was never on the cards. So in at number 1, that means Terrapagos EX. And interestingly, over in Japan, Lacey's number 1, Terrapagos is number 2, and it's actually not that close. Here, Terrapagos is up at about $117, and it's also not that close, but Terrapagos has jumped it. This is a fairly standard thing. I wouldn't read too much into this. It's quite common for Japan to put supporter cards a little bit higher and us to put Pokemon a little bit higher. It's not unheard of. It's not that weird. But the point is, Terrapagos here, great card. We've talked about it already. We talked about it with the regular. We talked about it with the gold. I mentioned the full art, although it's not in the set. And now we end up with the best version of it. And it is, by obviously a wide margin, the best version of it. And there's your explanation. We've got the best version of what is one of the very coolest cards around. And I still think playability-wise, it's a little bit overrated. I don't think it is quite as good as people are making it out to be. And certainly over in Japan, that has proven to be true. But Terrapagos is like one of the big, impressive Pokemon right now. It's a deck which at least has potential, regardless of how good it really ends up being. And it's a special illustration rare a lot of people are loving. You add it all together, and there's your answer. But for now, I want to know what you think. I want to know what your pull, and I genuinely do. This isn't just a line. I really do want to see what your pulls were like from Stellar Crown. So let me know what you've been doing in the comment section. If you're not pulled what you want, tell me if you're going to go for the other ones. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Uriel Rojas, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now, and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.